Anthony Ashatino of the Nurul Iman School here at the Islamic Society of Central Jersey. Anthony, assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Just tell us a bit about, first of all, what is your position here in the school? And then just tell us a bit about the school here.
Okay. Well, first of all, I am a high school history teacher. I teach world history, United States history, government civics, and I also teach a seminar on politics of the modern Middle East to the seniors. As well as that, I'm also a school executive committee staff liaison, which is an elected position. The staff usually elects one of their own every single year.
Right.
I had the honor of doing it last year, and I will be the executive committee liaison until the new one is selected this upcoming year.
So tell us a bit about the school. What are the numbers of students you have here? What are the grades you go up to? And I mean, are all the courses which are taught here fully accredited by the state?
Sure. Well, we are a K through 12 school. We have multiple classes in essentially every class up until, I believe this year it's going to be up until 8th grade. We have approximately 435 students or so in the K through 12. That number might be off by a little just because we still have some people we don't know if they're coming in or if people aren't coming in for the fall semester. The curriculum of the school is actually comparable to almost any public high school that you have in the state. The only differences are that we also incorporate Arabic language for the youth. They can also continue to take Arabic if they choose in high school, or they can go with another language such as Spanish or French. As well, we have Quranic studies and we have Islamic studies.
And how many students are in the school?
In the high school, there's about 48. And in the entire school, K through 12, is about 435.
And how long has the school here been in existence?
The school's been in existence since 1992. We recently graduated our third high school graduating class. And they're getting bigger. The school is very bottom heavy.
Yes.
We've got a lot of students in the younger grades, and they're starting to have a higher retention rate as it goes up. It used to be parents would take the kids out after 8th grade. They'd want them to go to the public school for a high school for many of the reasons, you hear, oh, it's going to be this kind of an education and that kind. But we've put kids here in Ivy League schools. We've put kids in some of the top institutions around the area. And there's no reason now parents are realizing there is no reason to leave your kid, out of the school, not to allow them to continue on.
Right, and alhamdulillah, we see the school has many facilities here. We're really impressed by the science lab here. We've been in many schools, and we haven't come across really as an extensive science lab as we have here. And I just want to ask you, just to talk a bit, first of all, I want to talk about you yourself. How long have you been Muslim?
I've been Muslim now for 11 years.
Okay, and what's your story? How did you become Muslim?
Well, it's funny. If you see on the outside of the masjid here, it stands out. A lot of masjids in America are essentially converted, warehouses or converted office complex. Okay, but this particular building was actually constructed with the idea of being a mosque. Hence, we have a dome outside. We have a minaret. And when I was driving, I'm one of these people with an insatiable appetite, curiosity. Okay, I always have to know more and more and more. When I was driving down one time, a few times, I noticed off to the right, I said, there's this building with a dome and a minaret. And I said, I think that's one of those Islamic places. So I was in high school, so, one day without telling my parents, I said, you know what, I'm just going to, drive off. Make the long story short, I came in, the imam was in, I came up to him and I said, look, I apologize if I'm, violating any etiquette here. I said, I took my shoes off where it said, please take your shoes off. I said, but I'm just curious about the religion. I'm curious about, this and that. I said, I don't want to convert. I said, don't convert me. But I said, and the imam was like, that's no problem at all. Why don't you come? They were about to pray Maghrib. He said, just observe the prayer and talk to a couple of people. I said, that's fine. And over the course of, I'd say, about the next 6 months, my journey to Islam essentially was completed. And then I finally took Shahada.
And when you took Shahada, did you inform your family you were becoming Muslim? What was their reaction to that?
It was very bad. Okay. I shouldn't say very bad. There are families I know that were a lot worse than mine.
Yes.
My mother was convinced I joined a cult. I found books around the house, what to do when you think your child has joined a cult. I have a cousin who's a born-again Christian.
Yes. Were you Christian also before?
Yes. I was Roman Catholic. My family is Roman Catholic.
Yes.
Everyone else in the family to this day is Roman Catholic. But I had a cousin who was a born-again Christian, and she was telling my mother that, you know, your son will be burning in hell now that he's worshiping the devil, and these people do this and these people do that. And in the beginning, it was a very difficult time trying to explain things because I didn't know enough, you know, to really be able to defend it. But alhamdulillah, my mother, before I got married, the last year before I got married, I was living in my house. My mother actually left a, this is going back, you know, a little ways. She left a little postcard on my bed right before Ramadan that said Happy Ramadan. So you see that it's really come about to the fact that now my mother and my father actually will defend Muslims when people make comments. And
you think it's not about as much as what you said, is about they're just observing you and the way you carry yourself and your behavior?
I'd like to think that. I'm not trying to say that my behavior has always been, you know, I mean, we all, you know, make our mistakes. I constantly tell my parents, you know, don't try and base Islam on me, you know. Base Islam on what you know, read into it. I can show you stuff, you know, don't, because I'm human. I screw up, okay, more than I would like to. But I think that they recognize there are a lot of very positive things, you know, that have come out of this with me. A lot more positive than any kind of negative stuff.
Right, Anthony. Now, just to tie it all together, now as a Muslim and an educator, can you just talk a bit about the importance of people realizing the seriousness of putting your children into Muslim schools, especially here in America?
Absolutely. Well, I think that it's very critical in this day and age. I think it's critical, and the reason why is because we give kids an excellent education in the secular arts, I'll say, okay? English, math, science, you know, history, everything. But as well, there's the opportunity in public schools, and I know, having gone to public schools most of my life, you can't do things like say, well, what about God with this? You know, the God is not a four-letter word, but it's close enough in American schools. You can't bring it up. In an Islamic school, you can integrate that. I can integrate Islam into my lessons. I can talk about the way that different things happen in different parts of the world, for example. And I just think it's very important because a lot of kids that are outside today, they don't, as I know that, you know, many other educators have said, you know, the kids today, they're into a lot of stuff that kids ought not to be.
Yes.
And there's a lot of pressure. You don't want to be the outcast, okay? Now, it's better in some schools where there are more Muslim kids in some public schools and they can create a little bit of a community. But there's still overwhelming pressure. Let's go to this party. Let's go do this. Hey, you know, why don't you smoke this? Why don't you drink this? You know, at the Islamic school, the essence is that by constantly reinforcing the deen on a 24-hour basis, the kids actually get
Brother Anthony, let me just ask you one more question.
Sure.
We find in some of the Muslim schools that people who are not Muslim prefer to put their children in the Muslim schools. Do you have that situation here some also?
We have had, to my knowledge, I've only been with the school for 2 years, but to my knowledge, we have had a couple of kids in the past who have been non-Muslim kids have come to the school. I would say it's a little different than sending your kid to like a Catholic school, because I know I went to Catholic high school. There's religion, yes, but here, for example, okay, during Ramadan, nobody eats, okay, during the day, except the little kids.
Right.
We break for prayer during the day, okay? You have a lot of stuff. You know, the sisters wear hijab. Whether you're Muslim or not, it's the dress code, okay?
Yes.
Whether you wear it outside of the school or not. But I think that there's a lot of people are coming around to realize the discipline that Islam gives in a personal life. And for teenagers, an era where you're really like in that rebellious mode and everything, it gives the kids an opportunity to really focus themselves. And so I think the parents are starting to realize that.
And for your school, what is the future plans for your school here?
Inshallah, we will have a large expansion project is underway, hopefully in an area that's actually right behind this wall here and over. We're going to have a rail school building constructed, a very large school building that will be able to accommodate upwards of 550 students. And, you know, the hope is that we'll continue to grow. I mean, we really hope, you know, with Allah's blessing, that we will continue to grow with the number of students and the quality education we're able to provide.
Inshallah, Allah, He will give you the success. Thank you, Brother Anthony, for giving us this interview and discussing the Islamic school here at the Islamic Society of Central Jersey. And I hope our viewers who learned something about Islam in America continue with us on this journey of discovery of Islam in America. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.